Hey, welcome to Brian for Liberty. Thank you for coming by. I am going to keep it short, going to keep it sweet, and we're going to tear down a headline today, maybe even a couple, that just drive me nuts. For those of you who follow my channel, who've watched any of my other videos, you know darn well that what drives me more crazy than anything else is the fact that we live in an environment where we're just going to post hyperbolic, vitriol, hate-filled freaking headlines so we can pretend to be allying ourselves with a group of people. And what really gets me about today's headline is it comes from the NAACP. It's a direct quote from the NAACP that is intentionally designed to make black people feel marginalized so that they can push a political agenda. Stick around because I got 3 articles today and I think you're going to like them all. All right, well, maybe like them all wasn't the right word, but they're all going to drive you nuts. How about that? So let's pull up look, if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. Beware, your life is not valued. Let me bring this up here. Beware, your life is not valued. NAACP Travel Advisory warns Florida is openly hostile towards African Americans. This is from CNN. This isn't like some fringe far left newspaper. This is CNN. This is one of the biggest names in media. It drives me crazy. And I can't believe that they get away with this stuff. What I'm going to do is we're going to go through this and I want you to find the validity in the claim made in the headline. So another advocacy group is warning people of color about traveling to Florida. The alerts from groups representing Black and Latino Americans comes as the state's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to enter the 2024 presidential race. I'm sure the fact that he's gaining a lot of popularity and is actually getting ready to enter the race has nothing to do with the media starting to ratchet this kind of stuff up. I mean, we're so far out. You know how bad this is going to get as we get closer with the stances and the things that he's done in Florida. Oh, it's going to be like pigs to the trough, man. But here we go. This is beware that your life is not valued. NAACP president and CEO Derek Johnson told CNN on Monday. He said a new DeSantis-backed law allowing gun owners to carry a concealed weapon without a permit, as well as education policies that include a ban on teaching about gender identity and sexual orientation through the 12th grade. What in the hell do either of those things have to do with the value of a black person's life in Florida? Anyone? Anybody in the class have an answer to that question? Of course you don't, because there isn't one. This has nothing to do with black people at all. If the article was saying that we passed a law saying that white people and only white people can conceal carry in Florida, well, maybe you'd have something. But I don't think that's what the law says. I think a law was passed that increases people's freedom, and it applies to African Americans who live in Florida just as well as it does to everybody else who lives down there, as well as education policies that include a ban on talking about gender identity and sexual orientation. Yeah, listen, you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with the fact that he's saying we're not talking about these things in school. I don't want that stuff in public schools. I don't think that's where it belongs. You don't have to agree with that. And if you want to call me transphobic and all these other idiotic labels you're going to throw at people who disagree with even one aspect of your belief system, that's fine. You're allowed to do that. I respect your right to say whatever you want. But at the end of the day, neither of these things has anything to do with black people. Remember, let's go back to the headline just so we remember. Your life is not valued. That's a pretty strong statement. And your opening salvo to validate that is a law allowing concealed carry without a permit and not teaching gender identity and sexual orientation to kids. That's your opening salvo that defends that article. You should be outraged by this. If you are a black person in America, you should be outraged at this and the NAACP. Now, I'm going to get down here and I'm going to get to something that might be able to be twisted into lessening the value of African Americans in the state of Florida. And that is, Florida is openly hostile towards African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ plus individuals. And then down here, a little bit lower, it says, under DeSantis, Florida has banned the teaching of critical race theory, which acknowledges systemic racism is a part of American history and challenges the beliefs that allowed it to flourish. Okay, so I've done a whole video series on critical race theory. As I've read through the the initial book, one of the core studies of critical race theory, I've read through it twice. It's made me angry both times. But there's a couple of things about critical race theory I'm going to say here. And I can see how you could maybe try and twist that around. But if you've read it and studied it all, first thing you'll know is that critical race theory isn't history. It's not a history lesson. It's sociology. And what it does is takes factual events of our racist past and tries to and infers upon that a value on Black America today, right? It's trying to ties things that happened a long time ago to things that are going on today and tries to connect them. Now, you can agree with critical race theory. You can read the book, which most of the people that I've come in contact with who agree with it haven't read it, but that's a whole nother matter. But you can agree with the book and you can agree with its core thesis, right? But at the end of the day, banning it, I don't agree with. I don't agree with DeSantis banning that. I think that that's something we could teach in school if we're teaching the counterpoint to it, right? Since it's a sociology and since it's subjective in nature, because taking hard facts and tying an opinion to them is subjective, not objective, right? So it's an objective truth that we have a racist past. It's an objective truth that slavery was horrible and we did that here. It's subjective what that impact is on Blacks in America today, right? I don't like the fact that it's banned. I think especially as kids get older, 14, 15, 16, as they're ending junior high, getting into high school, these are themes and ideas that they can be taught and that they can understand. So I do have an issue with him banning something from the schools, but I would like to see it in the schools in a balanced manner. I certainly don't think it comes close to supporting the headline. And I bet you he's not saying that we're not going to teach about slavery and we're not going to teach about Jim Crow. We're not going to teach about those things. We're teaching this very specific interpretation of those things, and we're not going to allow those things in the classroom. I'll say it again. I don't agree with DeSantis on this. And this is just one of many problems that I have with DeSantis. But I'm not here to talk about DeSantis necessarily, critical race theory, or any of these other issues. I'm not debating the gun issue or any of these issues. What I'm saying is, whether you're on the left or the right politically, I'm asking you to tell me what in this story justifies that headline. I'm pointing at the monitor like you guys are here with me or something, but see, I'm a little sped up. So the next story is a little bit lighter. We're going to have some levity here. North Carolina governor, you guys are going to love this. I think you'll love it, but we'll see. North Carolina governor declares state of emergency. A state of emergency. This is something we use for like hurricanes. We used it for COVID. This is like national or statewide tragedies, tornadoes destroying entire communities. Those are state of emergencies. The North Carolina state governor has declared a state of emergency because the GOP is going to expand the school voucher program and cut taxes. State of emergency. And I love how crazy the writing of this thing is. Democratic Governor Roy Cooper declared Monday that public education in North Carolina is facing a state of emergency in the face of extreme legislation being promoted by Republican state lawmakers. I mean, can we just have a civil look? People disagree on vouchers. I get it. I'm a pro-voucher person. I'm for school choice. Oh, I'm terrible. I hate public schools and I want to kill all of our kids. I get it. Right? The emotions run hot when it comes to school vouchers, and there's a lot of opinion on it. But it is something worth discussing in the face of how our public schools are performing. But I don't want to get drawn up. Extreme legislation. In a video posted online Monday, Cooper said GOP lawmakers are starving public schools and dropping an atomic bomb on public education with plans to further cut taxes and increase funding for private school vouchers. I made this point yesterday. I did a TikTok live yesterday. I made this point yesterday. I'm going to make it again today. And I'm going to keep making it. If creating school choice, right? If school choice is, in fact, going to destroy public education, that is a tacit endorsement of school choice. What you're saying is that the public schools are so bad that faced with any level of competition, they will fail. This is like the big three automakers in 1979 saying, we can't let Japanese people sell cars here because we'll go bankrupt. If public schools are good, then they should stand up well to competition. Nobody's saying let's close the doors and shutter the windows on public schools. We're just saying that people should have a choice. And if they want to go someplace else, they can. If that destroys public schools, then public schools deserve to be destroyed. Sorry. It's clear, I tell you, Let's bring this back up here. It's clear that the Republican legislature is aiming to choke the life out of public education, Cooper said. I'm declaring this state of emergency because you need to know what's happening. It's a state of emergency. I mean, think about a state of emergency. Does that give him the power to lock down the state? I mean, this is insane. It's insane. It's crazy to me. I thought this one was kind of funny, and I just wanted to share that with you. I like the state of emergency and just the absolute panic that takes place. And then this is the last one. Stick around for this because I think this is a pretty good one. We're going to talk really quick about this article, and let me bring this up. This is a sad story. There's no happy ending when somebody is gunned down and killed by police, but I want you to take a quick read here. Colorado will pay a record $19 million settlement to a family of 22-year-old killed by police. The family of Chrstian Glass, who was shot and killed by police last year after calling for help following a car crash, will receive $19 million from the state of Colorado and local authorities as part of his settlement, making it the largest police settlement paid by the state and one of the largest in the country. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, for those of you who've been paying attention in class, what is missing from the beginning of this article? Come on. His race and the race of the people who shot him. It's not in there. This person called 911 after being involved in a car accident. The police showed up and killed him because he wouldn't get out of his car. This was not made into a national story. This was not a headline story. I didn't know about it. I'll be honest with you. Maybe you did, but I don't live in Colorado. I didn't know about this story. I didn't hear anything about this story. So if this was a black man shot by white officers, it would have been one of the biggest stories in the country last summer. Am I right? Can you argue with me on that? Why? Is the issue police brutality? No, look, I'm just saying, bear that in mind the next time you get outraged at a story about the police and a shooting. You should be outraged. Anytime the police kill, first of all, anytime the police kill anyone, we should all be very, very concerned because an armed agent of the government sworn to protect us has killed a citizen. And we're all innocent until proven guilty. So let's start there. Second, this guy called for help, right? So, and he was unarmed. So we should always be cognizant of what's going on with the police and what's going, but also try and be cognizant of the way that these stories are being told to you. And by the way, I just want to caveat something I just said about being unarmed. Being armed as a pro-guns guy, all you Republicans out there, if you're all pro-gun, being armed does not justify homicide by a police officer. Just keep that in mind when you're marching about pro-2A and you're supporting gun rights. You say, well, he had a gun, and that's why the police shot him. Well, just remember that because you're pro-Second Amendment. You're pro-concealed carry without a permit. You're pro-gun rights. So just bear that in mind. Keep that same energy when it's a black guy who gets shot by the cops because he happened to have a gun. So those are the three articles I wanted to hit on today. I wanted to keep it short, sweet, quick. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content because this is what I do here. And we'll see you guys next time.